Welcome in to the Bite Meat podcast, and I look forward to seeing them all. I'm John Lopez. I look forward to doing them all, I should say. Especially looking forward to this one because I love when we get into a topic with someone at the top of the industry that is not a topic that we've covered a lot, and that is spices. Not just any spices. My favorite, and I know a lot of y'all's favorite, that would be Badia, and we're talking right now with Scott DeNight from Badia. Now, look, Scott, there's so many things to cover, and so many. When you're doing research now obviously, I know what you do, and I know the business that you're in, and I know the product. But I was like, all right, so tell me a little bit about Scott DeNight, and I heard, boy, Type A. He's a go getter, doesn't mess around, fun guy. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks. He may drop an F-bomb. I mean, I'm hearing.
I wouldn't do that. But Scott DeNight's very blessed. I was born in New Jersey. Miami's my home. I'm one of 5 boys.
How about that?
I've always loved the food industry. I came to Badia 14 years ago when we were doing 60 million. Mm-hmm. And this year we'll start approaching 460 million.
Holy. Well, that explains why I see Badia all over the place.
And, we're owned by a beautiful man named Pepe Badia, an immigrant, and him and his 3 daughters own the company. Mm-hmm. So there's never been a day where I don't love coming to work. He's been the greatest owner and the greatest support that allowed us to grow. If we needed more buildings.
Yeah.
And here's what's important. He started the company in his garage with a paper funnel to fill bottles with his family. And it grew into the number 2 brand in America. Badia's in over 100 countries with the number 1 Hispanic brand. So to go from nothing to 60 million to 400 plus million, and next year we will knock out 500 million. It's been a great journey.
All right. Well, let's start right there. How? I mean, this is like here. That's a simple question, but I know the industry enough to know it is competitive, man. And you can't walk into any grocery store, any great shop like Texas Star Grill Shop, which brings us this podcast every week, without seeing a bunch of spices. How do you do it?
For one, we buy the highest quality, and then also we put a very fair price on it. One of the great benefits of working for an immigrant, we have no debt. Mm-hmm. So while other companies have to pay off hundreds of millions in interest and pass that along to the customer, we don't. Mm-hmm. So we have close to 800 employees here. We're very generous. Pepe's a very giving man. He feeds the hungry. He shelters the homeless. And we put money back in the company always. So if we need a new machine, that's where it went. But no debt was a big part of our success. Mm-hmm. And when I started, we had a little bit of East Texas.
Yeah.
Now we're nationwide, from Alaska to Hawaii to Idaho and Oregon. And it was a lot of, I used to be on an airplane 45 weeks a year. Nothing just happens, but our story's beautiful. And we've yet to find an ethnic group that doesn't love Badia. So we're in Ghana, Africa. We're in Iceland. We're big in South and Central America. So everywhere Badia has went, we've succeeded.
The 2 things that I heard that resonated with me were quality, and I'm paraphrasing here, you do things the right way. It sounds like, the way he treats people, the way you conduct your business, et cetera. Let's start with the quality, because I think there are a lot of people out there, that follow this podcast, and it's mostly barbecue, but it's cooks and chefs and pit masters. There's probably a good percentage that think quality, what makes a quality. And I'm going to get specific with your garlic and pepper, because those are my 2 favorite. But like, how does that happen? I mean, other than beating the bushes and going to the right places.
A great place to start. So, for example, there are companies that take the whole bulb of garlic, the roots, the stem, and the peel, and they grind it. And that's not dishonest. It's 100% garlic. We only use the clove of garlic. When you look at black pepper, ours is dustless, where other people try to hide it in a can. And every time you break open black pepper, for example, the oils and flavors do get released. Mm-hmm. So when you get pepper dust, there's really no flavor in that whatsoever. If you look at our whole cloves, for example, guess what? It's a whole clove. Where other people sell bits and pieces, they call it cloves, and it is cloves, But when you break that open, you start losing flavors. You know, we buy the highest grade paprika, and that's graded on ASTA. Our oil content is in the oregano. So we buy the best that has the most flavor that's available.
Now, the interesting thing there is you become from the garage and the paper funnel, as you talked about, to an absolute monster that I've heard uses robotics and everything else. I mean, top of the line, everything top of the line. It's got to be pretty competitive to stay on top of the quality.
It is, but also we now know oregano, you can get it Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walgreens, CVS. Our innovation has been massive part of our growth. You know, we take the highest movers like salt, but we came out with black truffle salt and cilantro lime salt that you'll never eat an avocado without it.
Yeah.
And our complete seasoning, which is our flagship item, the first two ingredients are garlic and onion, which, by the way, garlic cost me $2 a pound. Salt costs 14 cents a pound. Other guys' all-purpose blends, salt's the number one ingredient. And our flagship complete seasoning, it's garlic and onion.
Wow. I'll tell you how sick I am on this stuff. I'm really getting into it more and more. I've been barbecuing for 40 something years, but I'm really getting into more of the quality and obviously, using Badia almost exclusively now. I watched a documentary on salt the other day. It is just fascinating. It is just so fascinating, the different levels, the different qualities, where it comes from, and everything else. And maybe that's a testament to how boring my life can be sometimes when I'm sitting at home, but it is fascinating, like the different levels, even just with salt.
Well, if you have high blood pressure, sea salt, the benefit of sea salt is there's a lot of minerals in it. If you have high blood pressure, it's still salt. But we take categories like garlic. Everyone's got a garlic. We came out with roasted garlic. We came out with black garlic, where I saw the clove, which is like chewing gum. So it took years to have our food scientists master it. How can we put it in product? So you get fermented, you get sweet, you get smoky. So we're always trying to find the new item. Our last item, lime pepper, is one of our most successful items we've had in years. If you ask a Latino, what do you want, a lemon or lime? They go, give me the lemon, the green one. So we got the foodie with it. We got and our mango pepper did 100,000 last month, and we're just rolling it out. Yeah. So, and what's important about giving people options? People are still going to buy their cumin for their pork. They're still going to buy their crushed red pepper and garlic for their pizza. So when someone adds a mango pepper, we're expanding the experience of food.
That's fantastic. Now, one of the other things that I heard, about you is something that you call the hunter mentality. And I can sense it right now, just the way you deal with these spices, the level of commitment you have to it. Explain the hunter mentality.
The hunter mentality is just simple good business. When I started here, I sat with the sales team. I go, if any of you are farmers that just want to watch the lettuce grow, you have no future here. But we have the greatest sales team. I'm very blessed. Had to replace the sales team to get the team we have today. But they're a major part of our success. They're hard work, nonstop. And they come back with a fish. They come back with an elk, and they throw it on the Badia table of growth. So, you have to tell your story, but you have to execute your story. If you're sitting at home looking at a laptop, nothing's going to happen. And that's a big line of, you do nothing, guess what you're going to get? Truckloads of nothing.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed to have an incredible sales team and incredible customers.
I'm loving this. All right. So obviously, for our listeners' purposes, they're kind of absorbing everything you just talked about and the importance of it. Now, when they walk through a store, obviously, you want, and I would want them to pick a Badia spice for these reasons. But like more specifically, what should we look for in spices? You mentioned the can, and Rick was telling me about that the other day. He says, don't ever buy pepper in a can because they're hiding all the dust, like you just referenced. But like what should we look for other than the Badia label, in terms of like things that should be there for our spices that we're using?
For one, think of garlic, for example. 85% of the world's demand comes from China. So that's a big number, and that's fresh and dried. So if you look at that number, garlic shouldn't be $5.95. So if people put a fair price, you can get a high quality product at a value price. And even if it's a $10 truffle, it beats a $25 truffle salt.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's in a glass bottle or it's $5.99. It must mean it's better. It's not. It means that company may be loaded with debt, or they're just trying to make big margins.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in selling to all demographics, to selling to all cultures our product, and knock on wood, we're overly blessed with the support this company's got.
Yeah, one of the things obviously that's at the top of our listenership here is barbecue, and there's an age-old question of mixing your own rubs versus purchasing the array of rubs that are out there, whether it's for brisket or chicken or whatever. What are your thoughts on that, just in general? I'm just curious.
Well, for one, it's each to his own. If they want to grind their own coriander and grind their own peppercorns, but time is money. We sell tens of millions of dollars of our minced garlic because people don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd rather just get a tablespoon, put it in the pan instead of peeling it, clove it, cut it, clean it, mince it, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have the time to make their own blends that speak to their own identity,
their flavor.
But there's a lot of wonderful blends out there. And here's what's important. The most important thing about spices.
Mm-hmm.
If you and 100 of your listeners, I gave you all a piece of chicken.
Okay.
And you grilled that chicken or boiled that chicken, guess what it is at the end of the day? It's chicken. Spices is 99% of the flavor, but less than 1% of the cost. So spices is the identity of that meal. So those same 100 people that just grilled the chicken, guess what? It's all going to taste the same. But as soon as you start putting in a lemon pepper, a garlic pepper, a ranch dressing, or whatever you want, that is the identity. So if someone wants to make a blend, God bless them, it's their identity to make that flavor profile.
Yeah, no, I get it. One other thing that intrigues me about your industry, and certainly Badia, because it's become what it has become, is sourcing. Is sourcing, these spices. Just give us a thumbnail sketch of everywhere you go, some of the best places that maybe even people can see, on a label, as far as like this has been sourced in the right spot, or is that not as important?
Well, other countries are working on garlic to bring that percentage down, but no country's good at everything. Mm-hmm. Before, Canada was incredible with flax seeds, and then Bolivia got into chia seeds to go after Mexico. So we literally buy product from across the globe. Mm-hmm. India is a big supplier, Vietnam. So when one season is over, at least there's another option for black pepper. Mm-hmm. So if our cinnamon comes from Vietnam, and so we always look for different sources, and we make sure 95% of the people that sell raw material, we can't buy from them because we're SQF, that ensures the highest quality standards there are. Which we just got a 99 the last time we got tested here. And so we take quality very serious, food safety. So we're very selective who we buy our raw material. When we get garlic, for example, the harvest just finished. Mm-hmm. And why Mother Nature was good, the price didn't go up. The freight due to the Red Sea does affect the pricing. So we were paying $3,000 a container. Now we pay $11,000 a container.
Yeah.
But China, Mexico, Germany, we get product from across the globe.
Mm-hmm. What does the United States do well?
They're great at consuming. So, if you look back in the old days, Gilroy was the garlic capital of the world, of the United States. Mm-hmm. Now they just, a lot of it went overseas. So I'd love to give you a list of 10 things. But they do onion. Now, onion's an example where there is no season.
Yeah.
So once a year, there's a harvest on garlic. Black pepper, we get twice a year. But America's great at consumption. But just like a lot of the farmers have a hard time competing with other countries, that has affected the spice world.
I've been very, blessed myself in terms of I've been able to travel the world because of my job, my regular day job, and such, and my family, my mother's side is all from Mexico, and it never fails to amaze me when I go to Mexico. I ask myself the same question when I'm getting these spices, going to the markets and all that stuff. How do they do it? Like it just tastes better. Is it just kind of theater of the mind that because I'm there, or is Mexico and South America just better at it?
Everyone's great at what they do. No one's
Yeah.
great at everything, but everyone's great at certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So, the guajillo peppers, and, we thank not only we servicing the Mexican and Hispanic consumer, we're also catering to the foodie that
Yeah.
watches Bobby Flay and other cooks that are making sauces with these items that they never knew of just 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. All right, I'm going to get into a couple of things here before we move on as far as the meats, because I've got one of the preeminent experts, if not the preeminent expert on spices here. I'm going to go through some meats and just kind of spitball. Maybe it's your preference. Maybe it's the preference of what you guys see the most in the market. Like what spices go best with what? Because we're helping our listeners, guys that barbecue and cook and all that. So if I say brisket, like what do you see it tends to be the most popular, which would maybe translate into one of the best?
And once again, that's going to go to the creator of that flavor.
No, I get it.
But a core spice, if be it paprika, salt, black pepper, onion, and people can keep adding to it. I personally like barbecue that's crusted herbs. So I like the oregano, the dried herbs on it that helps the bark and have more texture to it. Some people like wet rubs where there's not that texture. So, we have items, for example, one of the best items I feel we have is called Sazon Tropical.
Oh, I've gotten it. It's sitting over there in my kitchen.
So the orange one, if you do any white protein, it makes it the most beautiful golden brown color, and throw a little parsley on it that before you even eat it, you won the people that are going to be eating that food. But I put that on lobster. So that's great on white protein. No one wants to see an orange steak. So that's an example where for white protein, it's great. Then we have an item called Harlem garlic pepper that does have sugar in it. That's catered to the steak. So since it has sugar, it gives it a much better crust on the steak. So there's so many different items. Certain items, garlic parsley, you can put it on pizza and your rice and on your chicken or steak. Other items are made for a specific protein.
Yeah. How about fish?
Fish, sometimes I'm the guy that I think less is more. I want to taste the fish. So why I appreciate a great Cajun flavor, sometimes simpler is better. I put more parsley, which doesn't have much of a flavor, but adds beautiful color to the fish. And also depends what kind of fish. Yellowtail is very delicate, where a swordfish is very meaty. So I would treat the swordfish more like a steak with pepper and garlic and so on. But also I'm into our citrus peppers, our lime pepper, our orange pepper. Our orange pepper caters, I put that on my lobster. But the lime pepper, I put it on the shrimp with the shell, and I throw it on the grill. So you get the delicious flavor of the shell, plus a great lime hit at the end. All
right. One other thing that I'm just, I'm really enjoying this because this has been sort of like an outside looking hobby of mine. And speaking to you, is very interesting. I'm interested in the process because you are such an enormous company that is still, in tune with the quality. What's the process like of, let's say, we're talking about garlic and pepper earlier. Let's say garlic and pepper from the time you identify what you're going to get all the way until it hits our shelf. What is like garlic and pepper?
Let's start with garlic because the harvest just finished.
Okay.
So you have thousands of farmers that bring their yield to the processor.
Right.
So all of their fresh garlic is brought to the processor, who then refrigerates some for the next year for fresh garlic you see in the produce department, and then they dry the rest. So all of it is dried into chips. So we later can say we want minced garlic, we want granulated, we want powder. So we prepay to get the customers the best price. We don't keep that extra 2%. We pass it on to the consumer for a better price, and we get the product here. Now you talk about garlic. It's very easy when we pack garlic. It goes from a large tote to the bottles and it moves. We might do a truckload. We could make a truckload in an hour and a half or an hour, whatever the time is. But when you do a blend, we have to do a Cajun blend. They have to put an order in the system. My team has to go and gather 18 different ingredients, bring it back, blend it in 5,000-pound lots. Then they put it in the tote. Then it can be blended. Then it can be packed. So it's much more labor intensive, but those blends are ours. So it's worth the investment to come out with the best blend that we possibly can do. And there's a science to it. If you and I did a blend, the salt would be on the bottom and the oregano would be on the top. If you look at our blends, it's beautiful. The bottom's not heavy with powder. So there is a science to it, and it's different stages that we do it. So it's a beautiful blended product versus fluffy on top and salt on the bottom.
Yeah. Now, pepper, and one thing that's been a common thread with a lot of the great chefs and pitmasters that we've had on here is aged pepper, which has piqued my interest. So what about the process with pepper and aging it, some of the value there, some of the benefits?
As long as you don't, when you think of when you go to a restaurant and they crush that pepper, that is fresh pepper and you're getting the freshest oils released in flavor. Now, in the same breath, a lot of people have salt. Guess what? The center of the salt is the exact same thing on the outside of the salt. So that one's more for show.
Yeah.
But the beauty of black pepper, each time you crack it, you release flavor and you release oils in that product, which is the flavor. So
that's
black pepper, and the more you break it down, eventually when you get the dust, there's nothing left. It's dried out powder.
Yeah.
But so we try to do, every chef wants a different size. We have butcher block, which is a much coarser grade. Then we have, ground pepper. We have many different ones because every chef wants a different size because to him, that's the magic ingredient for their product.
So, as far as like what you have, you're producing right now, how many different variations, how many different bottles, for lack of a better term, of spices are you guys churning out right now?
Right now, yesterday we added $4 million in orders. So let me just break that down if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
An average truck is 50,000. So yesterday we knocked out 80 truckloads, but we're coming in. Our holiday is now. When people start thinking about pumpkin pie spice, it begins early. So we're already starting to ship holiday out. So every August, it's like someone hits a switch.
Yeah.
And, the beauty of some things that we do, we have something called a cello bag.
Okay.
Which it's only 99 cents. So if people want 4 cloves, they can buy a bag of them for 99 cents. The other guy's $6-7. And ours is resealable, so the flavor stays in. Other little bag companies that local companies may do, if you don't have a seal, bugs get in and flavor gets out.
Yeah.
We offer that smaller size. If someone needs a tablespoon of a unique ingredient, they use nutmeg once a year. And sage is a good example. Sage is used for stuffing. 80% of our sales will be done in 60 days because of tradition.
Yeah.
Cinnamon explodes because people bake more. So, each time, but our holidays now, but we give different versions. So we sell little bags that people can retail for 99 cents. Then we sell 4,000-pound totes for others.
Man, my head would explode. Just the data that you have to absorb over the course of the year. You know what I mean? Like what you're just talking about. I'm like, how the heck do they keep up with all this?
If you think of the displays you see, and the stores need that to keep their shelves full, because in one day they could sell 27 bottles of cinnamon during the holiday. But when we make 20,000 shippers for our customers, we need to make 20,000 times 15. We need 300,000 cases, not to sell to the distributors, just to make shippers for the holiday.
Yeah.
So we start early. We have a great team from purchasing to warehouse to sales, and we communicate, and everyone gets their product.
I'm just curious what you have in your closet, in your pantry, come Christmas and Thanksgiving, because you're probably tired of seeing all these spices.
I'm a great cook, and I love cooking.
We're going to get to that in just a second. All right. So what are your favorites? What are your go-tos?
My go-to, because my grandparents came here from Italy, so oregano, garlic. If you look at all demographics, we'll do a planogram, which is a section for different cultures, for different demographics, 85% of those are the same. So garlic, pepper, onion, no matter if it's Hispanic, Latino, or whatever group it is, that extra 15% is what makes the difference. We might add an Indian spice, an Asian 5 spice. We might add to the Hispanic much more guajillo peppers and California peppers. So 85% is the core, because those don't change. People love their garlic, onion, salt, black pepper, and so on. But the 15% caters to the demographic of that region.
Right. You know what's interesting about that, and I'm sure you have a thought on this. There are trends in terms of popular dishes, and this isn't like overnight, but over the past 10 years, I've seen more Indian restaurants, more Indian foods, more Indian foods and spices in grocery stores, more Korean. It seems to me like there's been a real trend toward India, Asia, Korea, et cetera. Is that true?
100%. If you went back 30 years, the average household had 5 spices. So based on if you were Caribbean, you had cumin or curry. So now the average household's got 24 spices. So you could just see, and when you mentioned going into a Korean restaurant or an Indian restaurant, I just had Indian last week. There was no Indian people in there. It was every demographic in there that appreciates the cuisine. And that again goes back to spices is the identity. Go more granular. Say there's 20 Indian restaurants. The way they spice that product is going to make each restaurant different and eventually have a winner, what the mass appreciates the most.
And I respect the heck out of them. I like spicy food, but when I order mild, it's hot.
And you just said also, if you look at different cuisines, we're always ahead of the curve. So we're very blessed to have some of the biggest cruise lines and theme parks. They get their spice. So we talk to chefs every day. When we had 10 requests for pink Himalayan salt, it was time to listen. I went to purchasing. I go, I don't know what the hell it is, but I know we need pink Himalayan salt. And we were the first to market with that. And it became a huge success. We do millions and millions. So we're always years ahead of the curve. Right now, we're selling tons of za'atar and sumac. People are like, what the hell is that? You'll hear about it more and more. Just like when I was in the Bahamas, they had a black garlic grouper. We just rolled out sumac and za'atar for people that want these different flavors. They want a different experience. And if you look at sumac, it comes from a flower. And if you close your eyes, it tastes just like a grilled lemon. So, you know, in your barbecue experts, grilled or lemon, to me, that's what sumac brings me. But it has this beautiful purple color. So I'll make a nice cream sauce in it. So visually, it's incredible, and it's very unique in its flavor.
I've been on this big Nigerian kick lately, and that's not something I made a big deal out of in the past. So it becomes trendy. It's the world we live in, right?
That's the beauty of America.
Yeah.
You know, where you can come in Miami, I can go eat any ethnic food that's there. And I see Texas changing, and I see all these different ethnic flavors, and people are embracing it. You're seeing everything from Cuban restaurants in Michigan to Indian restaurants in the heart of Miami, and people are embracing it. Things that used to be ethnic is now mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, mojo is now mainstream, you know, so a lot of things, think of hummus. 35 years ago, that catered to the vegetarians, the health food store, Middle East. Now every soccer mom's got a container of hummus in the refrigerator. People didn't know what couscous was. It crossed over. So flavors are crossing over every day.
Yeah, you guys got it dialed in, baby. All right, I got a couple of questions here. I'll call it the studio audience, and then I'll tell you who asked these questions in just a second. And the hint is, it was at dinner last night with a mutual friend of both of ours. The first question is, how do you come up with all the new items?
I look at what's not there. Now, I shouldn't be coming out with mango pepper at 4 a.m, but you want to give the customer a new experience. Imagine us going to HEB or one of the many accounts in Texas and saying, hey, I got another oregano. They have an oregano. They don't need Badia for another parsley or garlic or oregano. We go in there with innovation, which their customers have the opportunity to have expanded flavors and grow their basket size. Our job is to grow customers' basket size and sales. And you're not going to do that by having 5 oreganos versus 6. You're
Yeah.
going to bring in a lime pepper, a chipotle ranch, a Harlem garlic pepper. And wherever we go, people's sales grow. Fact.
All right, here's the second question, and there's going to be a dead giveaway in the course of asking it. Why does Jose Menendez cook better lobster tails on your grill than you do?
Dude, that guy scared me when I put him in charge of lobster. So I took the fork, I took the tongs away from him. Jose's not the greatest cook in the world, but he's got a beautiful wife who is. So he's very blessed.
So yeah, this was the discussion. I asked Rick. He was actually out at dinner with some of your people there. I said, well, ask him a couple of things I should ask Scott. And so he's not a better lobster tail cooker than you are.
No, not. And by the way, I seasoned it. I put the charcoal in. He had the tongs, and he put them up. He put the lobster upside down. You want to cook and get that delicious flavor of the shell. I was in France one time. I'm like, what is this spice? And it was the shell, where they were just dropping the shrimp in a hot pan, no oil, and it seared that flavor of ocean into the bite.
Man, this has been a lot of fun, but I do want to ask you before we let you go, what can we expect here? Well, we have listeners all over the country, but I am based in Texas, and it seems like you guys are really, really expanding, always ahead of the curve, as we've talked about on this podcast. What's coming down the pike from Badia? You don't have to be specific.
I have some of the most beautiful, innovative new items that'll be rolling out next year. So what keeps us busy today does not next year.
Yeah.
So we have innovation coming that's going to blow people's minds. There isn't one on the shelf. You look at bee pollen. We sell $1 million of bee pollen to 1% of our accounts, and that's because people like the experience for their Ninja Bullet or their NutriBullet and their Ninja. So we do, as much of a spice company we do tens of millions of dollars in chia seed, flax, hemp, and bee pollen, believe it or not. So we're always looking to expand. You're going to see Badia expand categories and expand flavors big time in the next 12 months.
You just reminded me of one more thing here. I love to make paella. That's my big tailgate food. It's aromatic. It's different. People walk by and go, "Oh, what's that?" So obviously that means I get saffron, and saffron is kind of hard to acquire. What are some of the spices that you really have to work the hardest to get exactly what you want?
Saffron, remember, it's very labor intensive. They're pulling these little hairs out with tweezers. It's more expensive than gold per ounce. So, when they're doing that, but saffron, as much as it can enhance and make a meal beautiful, people that put too much can ruin a dish very easy. And people that don't want to pay the money of saffron, annatto is very powerful. So a lot of people will saute annatto seeds, which I'm a big fan of. Even some of the big cornflake companies for cereal, you're like, damn, that's beautiful gold. It's not the corn, it's the annatto they put in there to give it that beautiful color. Yeah.
So I know you guys get them, but would saffron be on that list of, all right, we have to work for this one. We always have to be ahead of the curve.
Yes, but that crossed over. People, paella. I bet the very big portion of America has now tried paella. So how you make it? Is it going to be seafood? Is it going to be pork and chicken? So a lot more. We make saffron affordable. That's our job. So Badia, you can look at our saffron. It's the most affordable on the shelf, and it's delicious.
Scott, I could go on and on, but I'm not, because I know you're busy, and we want to make sure we keep this podcast enough for people to listen to on the commute. I really, really appreciate it, man. And let's do this again, because it's tapping into a world that most of us just have no clue about.
Well, it's our honor. Thank you for having us.
All right. That is Scott DeNight. Coming up next is the smoking hot tip of the week. We're going to go out to the Woodlands with DJ Menzel from Texas Star Grill Shop. And let's get to that right now. All right. We're off.